Firefighters in England have condemned plans to merge control of their services with that of the police. The Home Office will take over responsibility for firefighters from next year. The Fire Brigades Union has described the idea of putting police and crime commissioners in control as a costly experiment. Daniel Butcher reports. No, he doesn't report, but perhaps he'll report later. I'm joined now by Matt Rack from the Fire Brigades Union. So, costly experiment. I mean, presumably the government wants to save money. That's why they're doing this.
Well, they do. I mean, overnight, Theresa May's issued some comments about a number of important points. First of all, the lack of an inspectorate in the fire service. Now, that's something we've been calling for more than a decade. She's been a Home Secretary for 5 years. During that period, we've had 4 Conservative ministers overseeing the fire service. They've done nothing about that. She makes comments about the lack of publication of detailed data on the fire service. We've made that comment for a long time. Again, the Conservative and coalition governments have done nothing to address that. There is no call for this within fire and rescue, no call for this within the police, and it's really badly thought out in our view.
Could I put though that I know from government ministers in the past, they say that the fire brigades and the police, wonderful public services, but very resistant to change, and that's what you're doing.
I don't think that's at all the case. Actually, the biggest debate currently going on about the future of the fire and rescue service is taking place between ourselves, a supposedly resistant to change union, and our employers, and that is scanning out the horizon of what we think the fire service should be doing over the next 5, 10, 20 years. That's not involving the government at all. They've shown no interest in it. We've told them that we are undertaking that. So that's not resistant to change. The firefighters' role has changed enormously in the past 20 years. Just 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the big debate about floods. The vast majority of those teams were firefighters. They've taken on new roles. Debate around terrorism, firefighters taking on new roles to address that. So it's simply not the case there is this resistance to change.
It's certainly true. We saw it in the floods. We talked to a lot of firefighters who were on the ground. But in terms of actually control and dispatch, does it really matter if you were... I mean, you're all emergency services. You're the people that we look to and we call. And does it really matter if you're all coordinated there?
Well, I think it does. I think the question of whether fire services could improve procurement of equipment, for example. I think there are certainly lots of things fire services could do together. So we could improve that between fire services without moving that towards the police. I think the proposals also include the idea of creating a single employer, so it raises questions about who's the employer and what the employment relationships are, about the role of the senior officer. We think the idea that a chief constable could take on the role of a chief fire officer is pretty worrying, and likewise the other way around, the idea that a chief fire officer would possibly take on the role of a chief constable, also worrying. They are specific functions, very specialist roles, and we used to have police fire services back in the 1870s. They were largely discredited because of the need to specialise and take account of the specific fire risks that communities face.
Just a final thought. Can you stop this? I mean, the government presumably can go ahead and do it.
Well, we may not be able to stop it. I think what is a bit worrying for a government that says it's committed to localism is that there's no support in this in the fire and rescue service, there's no support from the majority of people in the police service, and there's no support from local politicians who currently oversee the fire service. That seems a pretty undemocratic approach to me.
Matt, thanks very much. Matt Rack there from the Fire